Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where we have another Sunday preview for you good folks. This one is Sunday the 10th of August. You know what that means? That means everything shown off in this article, unless otherwise stated, is going up for pre-order on Saturday the 16th of August, and they will be releasing on Saturday the 30th of August, following that 2-week pre-order window that is now standard for pretty much every release for Games Workshop outside of the made-to-order stuff. So what have we got? Apparently it's Ghouls and Geists. Yes, it's Age of Sigmar week. We can't forget about Age of Sigmar. It's celebrating 10 years. It's not quite as impressive as 40k, is it? But you know, 10 years for a game that was so severely disliked when it first launched, I think is quite impressive. And I think 4th edition is doing a really good job. But let's see what's coming for Age of Sigmar. Battle Tome Fleash-eater Chords. We knew that this was going to be coming soon. You've got both the Gamer Edition, which comes with the smaller format Battle Tome and all of the playing cards, unit cards that you'll need, and then obviously the Standard Edition A4 size hardback book. I have done a video on the differences between the Gamer Edition and the Standard Edition. I probably won't link it at the end of this video, but if you check out my other videos on the channel, you'll find it, and it just gives you an idea of basically the Gamer Edition is a smaller fonted version of the other Battle Tome. Slightly more expensive, but you do get those cards, which is really nice, and you get more cards than you do in the normal card pack, which is a really odd choice. But there is a video out there that explains that on the channel if you're interested. So that's coming, and obviously with that, their brand new character, the High Falconer Felgrin, with his wild bats and just insane design. It works on every level. I really think in the last sort of 3-4 years, Sigmar has found its design aesthetic, and this year, certainly the last 12 months, they've really just dialed in and decided to really emphasize the weird, quirky, great things about Age of Sigmar. And this model, while not for me, really shows that off. So he's coming, and then their new spearhead as well, the Carnal Watch. So this is a slightly lesser model count spearhead, and in this you get an Abhorrent Gore Warden, 3 Crypt Horrors and 3 Crypt Flayers, and a unit of Royal Beast Flayers and some Awful Hounds. It's not something I thought I'd be saying this Sunday, I'll be honest. It's an interesting spearhead. Obviously a lot of movement, you've got some wings there and quite a bit of tankiness, I think, with the Crypt Horrors. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not entirely sure. I think that this is an old Warcry warband as well, with the Awful Hounds and the other sort of Royal Beast Flayers and things. They look like an old Warcry warband to me, so it's nice that they're included. Interesting box, probably not one for me, but if you're wanting to go more into the undead beastie vibe, it's quite nice, and it gives you a good aesthetic towards that. We're also getting the Scarlet Jury. I'm guessing this is going to be... does it say? Yeah, so this is a Regiment of Renown. This is something new that they've started doing. The Regiment of Renowns, they're actually making them as, I think, limited run, but they're making launch boxes for them. So if you did want to run this Scarlet Jury, you can just buy the box, you have all the models, instead of having to pick up 3, 4, maybe even 5 different units at a time. It's an interesting idea. I'm not entirely sure price-wise how it corresponds to buying the units individually and things like that, but we'll see. This might be becoming a bit of a thing to give you units that isn't a spearhead, that doesn't have rules for spearhead, but just another way of selling you a different element of the army. And obviously Regiments of Renown, it does work for that. If you're wanting to take Regiments of Renown and you don't want a load of ghouls, it's a good way of doing it. We'll see. This is the second time that they've done this now, so jury's still out, but we'll see. It might become a staple. But in the Scarlet Jury, you get Grand Justice Gormain, 10 Crypt Guard, and a Royal Decapitator. I guess that's it. They can actually... this is interesting. So we're going to get previews for both of these battle tomes because, as you'd guess, the Nighthaunt one is coming as well. Sneak peek for later in the video. We're hopefully going to get an article on what these guys actually do. But interestingly enough, you can take this Regiment of Renown with all Death and Destruction armies makes sense, plus Cities of Sigmar, Caradron Overlords, and Slaves to Darkness. I don't know why you'd want to take them, but interesting choices. You're also getting their War Scroll cards and some blood red dice. They're not the most exciting dice. They're better than the Nighthaunt dice, but they're not the most exciting dice. but that's all coming. And as teased, Battletome Nighthaunt in both Gamer Edition with the cards and the standard A4 size Battletome. Lord Vitriolic, who was the new character shown off at the preview a couple of weeks ago, is coming with all of his wacky potions. Sounds like he's more of a debuff character. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see his rules, get an idea of what he actually does. It's definitely something different and definitely something I'm here for. We'll see in practice what he's actually like, but it's a really interesting and quirky model. The Knight of Shrouds is coming. Is this a re-release? Now available as a solo release, so he's obviously in a box, maybe an old Spearhead style Combat Patrol thing, whatever. They were Vanguard boxes, weren't they? Potentially in a Vanguard box or something, but he's coming out on his own. Their new Spearhead, the Cursed Shackle Horde, but in this one you get a Spirit Torment, some Chaygeists? Chaygeists? Is that what Chaingeists? Whatever the fuck that word is. 10 Bladegeist Revenants and 10 Dread Scythe Harridans and 2 Dreadblade Harrows on their ghostly horses. Apparently they're an absolute pain in the backside to put together, so I'll leave you with that warning. Again, not an aesthetic, not an army for AOS that I would ever look into, not something that gels with me. Interesting models, and painted up, they look incredibly, with weird ghostly shading and things, they can look incredible models. You're also getting their War Scrolls and dice. I think the dice are pretty boring, to be honest. I think that could be anything. This is the perfect time to do those translucent green dice with that logo on. But no, they went for a solid blue for some reason. But as expected, that is our AOS stuff, giving you everything for the Nighthaunt and the Flesh-eater Courts as well. That's another 2 battle tomes coming. We're probably halfway through all the battle tomes now, I think. Black Library is continuing the Age of Sigmar releases with Abraxia Spear of the Everchosen in limited edition. This one's by Chris Thurston, who is a pretty good author from the limited that I've read of him. He wrote the Gunnar Brand novel for the Dark Oath, which was my favourite Black Library novel of last year. But this is a limited edition. It features special cover art, black page edges and a black ribbon bookmark. Each copy is numbered and signed by the author and contains an introduction by the author. And as with all of these types of products, copies are only available while stocks last. The Legend of Sigmar by Graham McNeill. This one's an old world novel. This looks to be a omnibus, featuring Tales of Sigmar. So in this one you get Heldenhammer, Empire and God King, as well as the short stories Let the Great Axe Fall, Gods of Flesh and Blood and Sword Guardian, all by Graham McNeill, and that's releasing in paperback. Over on to Warhammer TV Plus. This week we have How We Roll, which takes a deep dive into the Horus Heresy with the lead designer talking about the changes made to the new edition. Bet that's going to go down well. Lawmasters is talking about the drop site massacre on Isstvan 5 again, very focused on Horus Heresy. Kind of time to move on now, I think. General interest is probably waning a little bit now that box set has been released. And finally, Scrap Demon looks to be focused on ingenious flying machines. Over on WarCom, they're going to be taking a look at the rules for the Flesh-eater Courts and the Nighthaunt. We will cover those individually on the channel as and when they pop up, as we always do. We also have a recapping of the Soul Wars, which was the 2nd edition of the Age of Sigmar. They're going through a 10th anniversary celebration for Age of Sigmar. That stuff I'm not going to be covering on the channel. It doesn't really give me anything to make a video about, and I'm not overly interested in the past editions. I'm interested in the current edition. But the exciting thing, and I'm going to throw a name out for who I think that this will be, but a new reveal for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Last week we had Helm Hammerhand in all of his plastic glory. I think this is going to be another plastic model. I hope there is going to be Freylaf. Freylaf is the character that I'm waiting for the War of the Rohirrim. It could be Olwyn, I think she's called, who is Hera's shield maiden, basically the woman who trains Hera to be a shield maiden-esque warrior. It could be either of those, it could be both, who knows. Like I say, I hope it's Freylaf, because Freylaf is an underutilized character in the film, but actually quite a necessary character, I think, to the army. And if we're going to be looking at the journal that was announced last week with Helmhammer Hand, 11 scenarios for War of the Rohirrim. You're going to need Freylaf for some of those scenarios. You're obviously going to need the Shield Maiden character as well, but I think it's going to be Freylaf, and fingers crossed it's amazing because I liked that. That was my favourite character in War of the Rohirrim, to be honest. There might be some other reveals. There's probably going to be some other little bits as well that we'll cover on the channel, but we are in August. August is generally a quieter time. People are on holiday, school holidays, things like that. It's not going to be necessarily as busy. So I'll cover the interesting news. If there's any interesting articles that I'm not going to make a video of, I'll throw them up as a community post. I want to start trying to use community posts a little bit more. But overall, some nice stuff. Nothing overly exciting for me, despite my enjoyment of Age of Sigmar. I think bit of a scrappy week, but I think it has to be the Hive Falconer Felgrin is my pick of the preview. Let me know what stands out for you guys, Nighthaunt fans, Flesh-eater Court fans. Are you looking forward to picking up your new battle tomes? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.